She is quite an amazing woman. I don't have to tell you that. She was a women's liber about 50 years ago. Melissa, genetically, we know where you're getting it from. She is truly remarkable. And now that she's 100, we just had a conversation this morning because I wanted to know what she wants to be when she grows up. But she's still undecided. I just wanted to share one amusing story with you that this is true and it happened a year ago, because a lot of you were here a year ago. We had a rehearsal party, her 99th, and first of all, she said it wasn't a real party because we didn't have food, so we brought a lot of food in this time. We were sitting here with her a year ago, and she was complaining to me. You have to see if you remember this. She said, you know, when you're 100, they ask you to leave here. I said, Mom, that doesn't sound right. She says, no, it's true. She says, there's nobody 100 here. They throw them out. They get sick. They forget things. They're a pain in the ass, so we get rid of them. So I said, Mom, this can't be right. We called a nurse over. And I said, Mom, tell the nurse what you told me. She said, isn't it true that when you're 100, you're asked to leave here because you're a nuisance? The nurse said, quite the contrary. She says, when you're 100, she says, you're an honored person here. We rever you. You know, you're just wonderful. We honor you. My mother said, you're a nurse, what do you know? She said, let me talk to the owner. So the nurse goes back and she brings the owner of the place in. And my mother goes through the whole thing again. You know, when you're 100, you have to leave here. It's not fair. The owner said, where did you ever get that from? She said, there are people here who are 100. We love people of that age. It's great. It makes us look good. It makes everybody look good. We just feel good about it, and everybody wants to be here when they're 100. My mother said, would you put that in writing? So she hasn't lost a step. That's vintage Bubby Esther from 40 years ago. She was incredible. She always told it like it was, never held anything back. As many of you are well aware, she has held the family together as best she could for as long as she could, and now we got the family together again. So it's a great occasion, and I would love for anybody that wants to come up and wish her a happy birthday to step right up and say something. This is Bubby Nancy, who happens to be, what, 93?
93.
Okay.
And as long as I know her, she's the sweetest person that I ever got along with. I'm so happy that I could be here to help her celebrate this occasion.
And that's from an in-law who typically don't get along, but this has been a relationship for over 50 years, which is quite remarkable. In-laws just don't work that way. You must know the difference between in-laws and outlaws. Outlaws are wanted.
I love you so much. You have been I learned to cook soup from you. I learned to laugh from you. I learned to be progressive from you. Oh my God. Our weekly phone calls are one of my favorite parts of my week. And you're just incredibly dear to me, and I love you so much.
Oh my, that's so good.
Congratulations.
I didn't begin to go to you. I lost my voice.
I love you, Bubby. My sister's speechless.
That's not true. I always have something to say. Bubby, I love you. I'm so proud of you. I know when I come here, you recognize me every time. I think it's just my voice. But like Alicia said, you've taught us a lot. You've made us strong. You've definitely held the family together. And we're very lucky to have you now, and looking forward to sharing many more special occasions with you. I know that goes for me and my kids. Rachel can't be here today, but Melissa is here. And we love you.
She looks adorable.
Happy birthday.
Well, I'm speechless. I don't have the words that Sherry always seems to be able to come out, but I just want to say, Bubby, that as your grandson, you've been more than an inspiration in just loving family and being there, a supporter, a champion, a cheerleader, always wanting the best for your family, and really just giving the courage to live the life to the fullest that you did, and you were such a a full inspiration for your kids, a driving force in the family, keeping everybody together. And to be honest, you know, we look at this beautiful family that you have here. It's, you know, it's so beautiful, you know, and because of you, and we all love you, and I love you, and congratulations for 100. And by the way, does she not look beautiful? You do. I love you.
This is your legacy. When you have grandchildren that can come up and idolize you and still have a great relationship with you, there's nothing that can be better than that. That's the tops. We have some great-grandchildren.
Not just good grandchildren.
They're great-grandchildren.
Yeah. I always thought you were a bit old-fashioned, but I still loved you. You were great. You're the best. Happy birthday.
This lady was not old-fashioned. In her era, she was cutting edge. I want you to know that.
I know.
Bubby, I remember being her age and going to your basement on Sylvester Street and putting on shows for you and Pop-Up Sam. And I used to get to wear all the hats, and it was my favorite part of coming to visit. And I appreciate the two of you never telling me really how bad my tapping was. So I was going to perform a show today, but I left my shoes at home. I want to thank you for raising one of the most important people in my life. You did a wonderful job, and I'm so lucky to have you. It's amazing to see you live to 100, and you've been such an inspiration, and always teaching us and remembering to laugh and be grateful, and always having pears in the house when we got hungry. I love you so much. We're so lucky to have you. Happy birthday, Bubby.
Thank you very much.
And little Julia?
I love you.
That says it. Emily?
I love you, Bobby.
See? You got a lot of people loving you here. There's a lot of warmth and a lot of love in this room.
Yeah.
You were always my friend. All the mother-in-law jokes in the world were never about you. You were always a good friend to me. And I love you very much.
Thank you, darling. Thank you.
You were a friend to me too, except the times I had to go to my room or something. Most of the time we were friends. Mom had a lot of influence in Gary and myself going to school. It wasn't a slam dunk in those days, and education was always a priority in our house. You didn't show up if you weren't going to have a higher agenda in mind. So we thank you for that. And Mom was always so proud of the fact that Gary and I went to dental school. When we went to a social function, it was always, I want you to meet my son, Dr. Harmon Katz. Oh, and Elaine. And she said, and Dr. Gary Katz, and Sue. It was always an emphasis. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have to wear a name tag. Oh, this is a special request. This is from a missive from your sister Lillian.
Yeah. Okay, this is from my mother. She gave me a letter like 2 months ago for a happy birthday, Esther 100. And, you know, from Lillian, her sister. I didn't read it until today. I wasn't sure what's in it. A lot of rambling, so I'm not going to read much of it. But a lot of memories. So, dear Esther, I wish you well and happy on your 100th birthday. You and Mom taught me well. You were married to a wonderful man, Sam. You were fortunate to have 2 brilliant sons. Good for you. I do hope you're happy at the home. Now my mom's in a home too. And waiting for the inevitable. So be it. Now I'm going to add here to 120. So, and I am well and contented in Deer Meadows. They are good to me. Sincerely, Lillian. Then I'll read a little bit more. I remember more. Here goes. Remember the picnics in Mort's yard and in the summer when you and Frida made the hamburgers. Remember the Seders in Mort's living room. All the immediate family were there. Mom was so proud. Remember Pop? What a guy. They worked like a mule for, I don't know what that is, Salvador and Getson? something like
Yeah,
that?
as a caterer.
Okay, and then during the week at Bellevue Stratford Hotel, Adelphia and Ben Franklin, he had little pleasure. I hope he appreciated Mom. He died at 59 years of age after an operation. Peritonitis set in. This is my mom and her details. Remember Mildred Bernstein? I don't know these people. Okay, sisters Florence Sleepak, Leona Cortman. You know any of these people? Gert Winefield, Bell Holtzman, and more. Okay, I'll read one more little bit of the letter, because then she starts to suggest books if you want to read. Okay, this letter may be a little disjointed, but who cares? It's all true. More about our mom. The picnics in the summer to raise money for Ohel Jacobs Synagogue. She got donations from merchants on Dock Street. Seligman and Company gave her a sweater to raffle off. Remember? Okay. She was president for 12 years. Remember Mr. Gross and Mrs. Wolf? Remember Abraham Cohn? When she died at 70 years of age, and this is your mother, when she died at 7 years of age, she was taken to the synagogue before burial. That was an honor. Rest in peace, Mom and Dad. Let us not forget. Is that nice? And then she writes more. I'll give it to you, to the guys. And she drew a couple pictures. Happy birthday, Esther D. I didn't know the middle name was D. 100.
D-E-E.
D-E-E. She put it. D-E-E. And then this is Sam. She wrote, I got her colored pencils, so she's enjoying using the colored pencils. So it's Sam Katz, Harmon, Elaine, and Gary and Sue. And then here's a little picture for you. Okay, so. Anyway. Huh? Well, it's just, you can't really see it. But it's Esther D, she wrote. And I have no idea. She just drew some things. So. But my mom is 91, just turned, she's the baby, so you're the big sister. And I also wanted to just add how much I enjoy when we come here for the Minions from Temple Sinai on Thursday nights. And every now and then I'll find Esther in the, living room, watching television. And I'm so excited to see her. And I'm like, Aunt Esther, we need 10 people for a Minion. And she always comes. She's like so happy to join us and sings. And we call her Queen Esther. And it's just beautiful. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
We love you.
What Lily was making reference to was Mom's mother, my grandmother, Celia, who was president of her temple, and she also was a leader in women's rights, and a very smart lady, a very active lady, who died when I thought she was old at 70, and now I realized she was a kid. But Mom also followed in her footsteps, and I don't know if some of you are probably aware, she was president of Queens chapter of the Eastern Star, which is a national organization, somewhat like the Masons. And she had tremendous responsibility nationwide in bringing this organization, which I guess did a lot of charity work and a lot of great social functions. She was very involved. So there is a real history of leadership in your family, and you really have a great legacy. And I think that your grandkids are going to pick up that mantle because they're leaders also.
You may not remember me. I'm Marilyn, Dorothy's daughter, Dorothy and Bernie, Sam's sister, Dorothy. But I remember my mother used to always tell me how good you and Uncle Sam were to her when she was younger and didn't have her mother. And she said you were always very good to her, and I'll never forget that. And I'm so happy to be here on such a happy occasion to be able to share this with you. I remember you, Aunt Esther, as always being so progressive. Even, what I knew of you years ago, and you were an inspiration to so many people. So I'm thrilled to be here on your 100th birthday to be able to share that with you. And I know my mother would be thrilled that we're here also. Okay, you're welcome.
Hi, Aunt Esther. It's Cindy, your brother Morty's daughter.
Yeah.
And I just want to say that my mom, who is in Florida, wishes she could be here too, but she's not here for the winter. But I just, want you to know that to me, you were always such a beautiful role model, so full of life. And at my children's bar and bat mitzvahs, you were out there dancing and having the most fabulous time. And one of my daughter's friends, Amy, my oldest one, said to her, "You look like your Aunt Esther." And I thought, oh, that is like the biggest compliment. And because I just think that you are so special, and I'm so happy that you're part of my gene pool.
Oh, you were. And that reminds, Cindy's anecdote reminds me of Sherry's bat mitzvah, where you had a lot of your friends there who were all bedecked in jewelry. There was a woman who had bangle bracelets from the wrist up to the shoulder. And you guys were doing some kind of wild dance, and she fell on the dance floor. And somebody yelled out, "Get a doctor." And a friend of mine who was sitting next to me said, "No, get a jeweler."
I just want to wish you a happy birthday. And I wanted to just remind you of the very first time that I ever came to your house and I met you. And Harriet's mother and father were there, Aunt Rose and Uncle Herman.
Yeah.
And you said to him, "Go ahead, ask her the question." And you made them ask me if any of my family had ever been in jail. And that was the first time that I came to your house. And when I left, I thought to myself, I can't marry Harmon. I'm going to be in big trouble.
The background was he lived in South Philadelphia. And we were in the Northeast, and the concept of South Philadelphia was all racketeers. So it was Harriet's father, it was Uncle Jack.
Oh, Jack, right, Jack.
Jack
Yeah.
was bold. Jack would do something like that.
I wasn't there that night. You weren't. You weren't. I just sat there. Happy birthday, and many, many more.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was serious.
I'm Harriet Jackson Rose's daughter, and we're thrilled to be here. We couldn't be here last year because it was our granddaughter's bat mitzvah, but we're so happy that we could be here this year. And I remember when you used to plan our Passover Seders for the whole family.
Yeah.
And we would all get together in one of the restaurants in a private room.
Yeah.
And it was a big group. Well, I guess we must have been about 50 people. And everybody got all dressed up. And of course, you were always all dressed up. I have a picture of you.
Except today, I didn't get dressed.
You're dressed beautifully. And I have a picture of you in my wedding album with all of Howard's ushers sitting around the floor and you in the middle with a fringe dress dancing. And we love you, and we're thrilled to be here. Happy birthday. And also, Anita sends her love, Anita and Abe.
Yeah.
They said they wish they could be here.
I remember my mother getting dressed for any type of function that they would go out, and the last thing she would do would be to tug at her neckline to remove it, push it down.
I want to remind my kids in front of you that the stories of my Uncle Gary and my dad sleeping in the back room on Sylvester Street, where my father's feet were a few inches from my uncle's feet.
No, from his head.
From his head, okay. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. And how lucky my kids are to each have their own sleeping space where they don't have to smell each other's feet. Well, I always loved that back room, although the window was kind of small, and I always wondered, how my dad and my uncle did it. So I just wanted to remind my children of how lucky they are. And my feet are never, never, ever, ever wet because I always wear my galoshes. On the brightest, sunniest days, just in case there might be a touch of humidity in the air at any time.
Anytime, does it strike anybody funny? Because my mother, as you all know, was really always health conscious. You didn't go out in the rain unless you had your rubbers or galoshes on. I had to wear a green leather jacket up until May, I think. And we always used to make fun of her. But she's 100. So maybe she's right and maybe we weren't right in making fun. You were ahead of your time, as usual. Who else? Wayne, come say hello. Wayne came all the way from Chevy Chase.
Actually, all the way from New York, but I'm Wayne, and I'm your brother Herman's son, and I got to know Esther really well when I was about 7 years old. I came to live in the same house with Esther, and my cousin Morty lived there, and of course Harmon and Gary were there, and my sister was there, And so it was a very pivotal time in our lives, and you were very, very supportive, and I won't forget that. And you were always a wonderful woman. I always thought the world of you. And even when I used to go in your house on Sylvester Street, and you had your couches covered with clear plastic, I knew I could sit down on them because I knew I wouldn't dirty them up. So so I have a lot of fond old memories, and it's so good to see you, and I'm so glad that we could come to see you, and we love you very much.
I have to tell you, it really is a thrill to be here and to see everyone. So many of you I haven't seen for so many years, and it's so much nicer seeing everybody at a happy occasion, and it's just a thrill. So thank you all for coming. So much has been said that probably most things have already been covered. But my experience and what I have really gotten genetically from her, hopefully it's long life. That's number one. And the other one is your willpower. I've never met anyone who is as determined as you and is as willful, except my grandchildren. So I know where they got it. But I really have so much respect for you and love for you, obviously. And it's, thank you for being who you are and the way you raised your family and the values that you and Dad imparted on us. And I remember just one thing. When I was in Vietnam, she used to write to me on a regular basis, and it was addressed to Captain Dr. Gary Katz, my son, my son. And everybody used to get a kick out of that. And so, happy 100th, and I hope we're here for the 101st.
Oh no. I'd have to creep. I would go down on my knees.
Oh, we're gonna keep doing it till we get it right.
That's right.
I'd like to wish you a happy, wonderful birthday. Cookie, Annabelle's daughter.
Yeah.
And last year you remembered lots of stuff about my mom, and we talked about her, and so I'm back again. She's no. But anyway, to see you is fantastic. So I'm here from my family, from your cousins, all of your cousins.
Right.
I'm here as a representative, just to say we're so proud of you to see you today.
I just want to share with you also, because Wayne mentioned about my mom covering the furniture in plastic. In addition to that, she had a white rug, so you had to take your shoes off going in the house. And I always thought that was, it just was part of life. So years later, Elaine and I went to Japan, went into a restaurant, and everybody had their shoes off. I walked over to the owner and said, "How do you know my mother?"
Hi, Esther. I've known Esther for many, many years, too, and it brings back memories of Sam and my father and my mother. And I don't ever remember any two couples that were so close, enjoyed each other, respected one another, and it was always very fulfilling. My fondest memories of you through the years has always been your intellectual pursuits. You were interested in art, you were interested in music, and she would always get you involved in conversation. Esther was a trendsetter, as has been mentioned here, but she was always one who especially would intrigue me with her knowledge. And sometimes, you didn't know this, but sometimes I'd read up before I knew I was going to be with Esther, so I could attack some of those little minuscule follicles of wisdom within her. But I've always loved you. I've always loved you as, in my family, as a real family member. Never looked outside, So I feel like I'm very much a part of this family. And I wish you a very special, special day. I know that you're experiencing it. You've got your voice back, and you look wonderful, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank you very much.
And Esther, I always loved you.
Oh, yeah.
I always loved the way she dressed. She was really a trendsetter. Yep. She used to come to my house, and I used to admire you so. And I wish you many, many, many more. Love you.
Wait, young
You
girl.
do know who I am. We always looked alike. I'm her namesake.
A mouthwash?
I don't want to look like me. I look like
You want to look like me?
Sure.
Well, I look like you.
Was it on Thursday?
Hi, I'm Harvey, Louie and Son. You remember?
Harvey Miller.
Louie and Son, your sister's son.
He lived next door, little Harvey.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, I was one of those people that used to go to the house all the time to visit Gary, and I was told, take off your shoes. And I'll tell you, I was one of them, and I'll tell you, Aunt Esther and Uncle Sam were so nice, and they were great with me. I'll tell you, they took care of me. They made sure I had something to eat when I was over there. Uncle Sam used to always bring me over to Weiler's, the Weiler's lemonades. He used to always bring me home, and they were just so nice. And I just want to say it's great to see you, and I want to wish you a happy birthday.
Most of your existing family are here. Oh, Mom, this. Remember this picture?
Do you remember that picture?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah?
I sure do. Oh, my. Oh.
There's your two boys.
Yeah.
And do you remember this?
Is this me?
That's you.
Yeah, that's you.
And there's Uncle Sam.
Oh,
This is
good
the whole
picture.
family.
Yeah.
Aunt Sue, Uncle Sam, here's Aunt Hannah, Uncle Ben, my mom and dad, Aunt Shirley, here's Uncle Mort, Uncle Harmon. This was Harvey's bar mitzvah in Aunt Lil's house.
I just want to tell all of you that I'm so proud to have it. I'm ready to cry. You'll have to forgive me. There are things that I wanted to get dressed right. I didn't. I would just put enough schmatters on. I didn't care about getting dressed. I didn't know I was going to have anything like this. It's just beautiful. And I recognize a few of you, but I don't recognize all of you. So the art words that I don't like, I want to tell you I do appreciate that you came here to show yourself and tell us who you are.
Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, Yom Holedet Sameach, till 120.
What did you use?
Anybody want the English translation of that?
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear mother. Happy birthday to you.
Esther, what did you used to say after that? Machi, machi, Harriet.
Mom, we wanted to have 100 candles, but the fire department wouldn't allow it.
I don't think she'll make that.
One. Go ahead.
It's too far away.
Here. You blow that out?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Help her.
All right.
I couldn't blow my candle
Very
out.
nice. We're going to eat the cake. We're going to eat the cake.